terrific over here, right? It's terrific. What's not to be nice about this morning, right? Tell me one more time. What's not to be nice about? Alrighty, there we go. So we're live everywhere. And we're in our librarian glasses. They're rather sexy, aren't they? Yeah, I think so too. So it's Tuesday morning and the time is moving forward. It's the 20th of June, the 18th of June. It's not quite Juneteenth yet. Tomorrow is Juneteenth. Everybody knows what Juneteenth is, right? So it's it's the 18th of June. The kids are out of school. What do you know? Right? So I have a phone that shows the date. So why don't I know the date? I think after a while you just get used to it, kind of like the day's gonna show up. Isn't that how you feel about it? The day's gonna show up. And recently I found myself thinking about I saw a thing on Facebook yesterday. I don't know if you've seen it, where somebody posted an image that seems to suggest that people who eat ribs and red meat, that it's contributing to cancer and contributing to cancer cells and sicknesses. Did you all see that? And I thought I'd talk a little bit about that this morning. Like, what are you guys eating? What do we all eat? And it personally, I haven't been enjoying eating meat now for some time, for a significant part of this year and most of last year. It started some time ago, but 2 years ago, I noticed that I barely could eat meat. And it got to the point where late last year, hey, welcome to Periscope. It got to the point late last year where I couldn't even eat meat, right? Like even ground beef, like, you would make homemade ground beef for tacos and make it for lasagna and so on. I found that when I ate it, I couldn't digest it. Like it just wasn't sitting well. So I stopped. So I've totally stopped eating red meat. So if it's beef, I don't eat it. I don't know what they consider pork. I don't eat pork either, except I eat pork derivatives like bacon and ham. That seems to be the only form that I can eat it in. So I noticed that I stopped eating. But I found myself thinking last night as I lay down about what are we eating? What do we eat? You know what I mean? What are we eating? What's in the foods that we eat? We can't see it, right? And because we can't see it, what does that say about us, right? If we can't see it because we don't see, we don't know what's in the foods, right? And I'm a little like everybody else. Nobody wants to get high blood pressure or diabetes or anything like that. But haven't you guys noticed that a lot of the ads on television are about, I don't know if it's just me, maybe because they know my household doesn't have young children, but I've noticed that a lot of the ads on TV are about my nostrils. Any day now will this stupid weather go away? I don't know. But have you noticed that a lot of the foods that we eat, a lot of the ads on TV are about drugs? Has anyone else noticed that? Like Jesus, where did this go? Oh my God. Facebook, where did you go? I clicked on something on the Facebook. Facebook went away. I don't know where it went. Where did it go? Where did the Facebook app go? This is the thing. But have you noticed that a lot of the stuff is about, a lot of it is about, a lot of the ads is about, it's about what do we eat, right? And the question I'm asking is, where is all this food coming from, right? Where is it going? And where is it going? Where is it going? Like what's all the food? What's in the foods? right? What's in the foods that we're eating? Where is it coming from? And I'm just saying that because recently I like romaine lettuce. I haven't eaten romaine lettuce in almost a year because they had a recall on it, that it had been exposed. Has that happened to you? Then there was a recall on ground beef, so I said, forget that. I'm not eating that. And there's a recall on kale because they say kale, which is something I enjoy eating, is filled with pesticides. And I think it's the manufacturers of kale. They want to promote another plant, right? So they had to come up with something for you to stop buying kale. I just feel like that's what it is. So the question I want to ask is, what are we eating? We look like what we eat. Do you believe in that it catches up with us after a while? It's just like if you take drugs or if you drink, over time, it catches up. It may take a while, but frankly, it is going to catch up with you after a while, right? So the question I want to ask is, what are we eating? What's in the foods that we're eating? Do we know? Do we want to know? Is this something that we want to explore? Because the folks who are entrusted with providing for us, can they be trusted? Like, are they going to level with us? Are they going to tell us what exactly is going on? I don't think so. I don't think I trust them like that. In fact, I know that they're not to be trusted because it has to be that they're expecting a lot of people to get sick. The reason I'm saying that is because if you look at television, is it just me? There are a lot of ads for drugs for cancer, for drugs for diabetes and high blood pressure. Just this morning, I was doing my exercise and I literally found myself rolling my eyes like, I cannot believe another ad for cancer again. And I'm like, is it me? Are they targeting my demographic? Is it me? You know what I mean? It's maybe people who are younger, who are having young children. Maybe you see more ads for diapers and formula and stuff to treat diaper rash, stuff like that. For me, I'm just like overwhelmed by the number of ads that I see for cancer and high blood pressure and diabetes and cholesterol and erectile dysfunction. And what else? I'm just naming them. Erectile dysfunction, cancer, men can't seem to get it up. What is this? What are we eating? What are we eating? That's the question. What are we eating? What's in the foods? Right? And I just want to know because I want to know. Are they not telling us something? I'm just asking. Right? And I'm asking because I don't know. I don't know. And the reason I'm saying this is because there's something afoot. There is something. It's like there's a grand design about cancer. Are they not telling us anything, right? Think about it. Earlier this year, one of our first shows, we talked about the correlation and the link between cancer and the foods that we eat, right? We talked about that and how certain drugs for high blood pressure within 5 years was making people have cancer, right? So I want to know, what is the link? Do they know something we don't know, right? And don't you think that's a question we should ask? Matter of fact, here's a better question, everybody. Here's a better question. Where's the food that we eat coming from? How about that? How about we ask that question? The meats that we're eating, is it really coming from Texas? Are we really to believe that beef is coming from Texas or Iowa or Idaho, from farmland here in the US? Should we believe that? Should we? That's a question, isn't it? Should we continue to believe that the foods we're eating is not subject to processes that contribute to the endangerment of humankind? I read a report yesterday while scrolling through Twitter. Anybody on Twitter, follow me on Twitter and Instagram, right? And the report says that by the year 2028, there will be over 10 billion people on the planet. And this was what was the first thought? My first thought was, wow, they're going to find a way to control populations, because there's no way that we can sustain 10 billion people on the planet. Why? Our food systems cannot sustain it. Our ecosystems can't. Our systems of water can't. Do you see what I'm saying? If we're struggling right now to fix our infrastructure, to me, that's just attention and that's just focus. They would rather put the money in other programs than to maintain the infrastructure, right? The infrastructure such as roads, bridges, schools, healthcare. They're not concerned about that. They would rather put the money somewhere else. It's not like they're not collecting the money. They are taxing us. We are paying the taxes. The citizens pay more taxes than big corporations, because big corporations get a lot of tax breaks, which we understand contributes to the deficit, right? So the money then that they don't collect from big business, from us. Hey, welcome to Periscope, right? But what I'm saying is, who can we trust to tell us the real truth about the foods that we eat? There's got to be a reason why so many people have diabetes and high blood pressure. Some sort of link between having high blood pressure, right? Having high blood pressure and having diabetes. Is there some sort of link that stretches now beyond ethnographics? Because it's no longer about ethnicities now. It's everybody. Right? Is there a link? They told us that it was the foods we were eating. So we needed to not eat. Remember years ago, don't drink milk, it's bad for you. Don't eat eggs, it's bad for you. Over time, we have proven that that was wrong, because people developed more, people developed more diabetes because you lacked protein. Simply put, you lacked protein. Isn't that something? Lacking protein. So that you had to go back to eating eggs. So you ate more red meat, consumed more red meat, and now you're getting sick from eating too much red meat because it gives you high cholesterol, blah, blah, blah. The narrative changing. Okay. Then they said we shouldn't drink calcium. Then you found out that your body needs minerals. That milk, they said, don't drink milk. It's no good for you after 5. It's after a baby. It's no good. Really? How are your bones going to continue to be strengthened is a question I have been asking for years, and nobody could answer that. So we turned to processed food, because processed food was supposedly had erased all the pesticides and everything else, so it should be good. But processed food, by the very process that makes it, has cancer in it. There's a process called NDMA that is created. It's kind of like a combustion that is created when all these processes are taking place. So then, if that is the case, what gives? So you don't eat eggs because the eggs have antibiotics, but you eat red meat. The cows also have antibiotics. I am just saying, what is it that someone knows that we don't know? Is anyone here rich? Like super rich? So rich that you can afford to pay a farmer to farm your own foods and so on. Anybody can do that? And every week they bring you your supply of milk, butter, organic milk, butter, eggs, potatoes, vegetables. We should all work towards that. I have a backyard. I swear to you, I took a good look at it yesterday, and I'm like, it's time for me to start creating a greenhouse back there and start farming my own stuff. I swear to God, I'm thinking about doing that next year, creating a greenhouse effect and plant my own vegetables and and so on, because I'm like, if something is wrong, I can't eat romaine lettuce anymore. You know, that's my favorite lettuce. They call it spring mix, right? I like veggies with green stuff on it. I like a varied salad platter. But I find that I can't eat that, right? I find that the cabbage has a funny taste. So I have to soak it in water. And then when I lift it out of the water is kind of oily and greasy. So they're spraying it, it goes all the way in, then it has a funny greenish taste. Then I find that if I buy it from the market, it tastes worse than if I buy it from somewhere like the regular grocery store. So I'm ending up back at the grocery store buying my fruits and veggies. I kid you not, the things that your taste buds change over time and adapt, and it learns and it starts thinking, and your taste buds start dictating what you eat. So, what is it that we're eating? What is it on this Tuesday, on this terrific Tuesday? Let me ask you this. What did you have for breakfast? What did you have for breakfast? Cereal? That's processed. Sorry, but cereal is processed. I know you went to have cereal and it's processed, right? Okay, so you had cereal. Did you have toast, bread? Processed. Even if it's English muffins, it's processed. Okay. Coffee. I don't even know if it's real coffee anymore, because to me, the coffee doesn't smell like the coffee I smelled when I was growing up. So I don't know what that is. So a lot of what we eat is processed. So the thing to do is to minimize it as much as possible, right? To try as much as possible to minimize it, incorporate as much. So we started trying to eat healthily by eating more greens. Maybe it was working. They were seeing less people show up in the doctor's office requesting pills for diabetes or whatever. Then they shut that down real quick. Don't even try to eat kale. Romaine lettuce has E. coli on it. It's almost as if they want you to go back to going to the supermarket and buying some Stouffer's macaroni and cheese, Stouffer's lasagna, and all the processed foods in the world so that you can eat that cancer forming thing. My mother tells me a story that when she first came to Michigan, she worked at a plant. And the plant that she worked at made frozen meals. And she said, don't eat that stuff. It's all cancer. It has high sodium and it's all cancer. Don't eat it. And I was like, no, Mom, that stuff is supposed to be good. This was like about 14, 15 years prior to her death. And then I found out that it was true. Don't eat it. Because I kept asking myself, the process of preservation is where the stuff happens. So if you can look to the process of preservation, then you should move on. Right? So what is the end here? What are we going to do about what we eat? If you live in an apartment and you live in an urban area and you don't exactly live in a subdivision where you can go and farm your own stuff, they will report you and you'll get an ordinance violation. And you can't exactly do it in your garage because there's no sunlight coming through there. And you can't rip the roof off your garage because you have to conform to the ordinance of your subdivision. Well, if your family still has a cabin up north, I guess you're going to head up there, right? Or we can all find a co-op. Somebody starts a farm that makes the foods and we all contribute to it and it becomes a co-op. So the person who owns the farm, part of his pay is us buying the stuff that he makes that keeps him going. If I can find a farm somewhere around Metro Detroit that even on icy, during times when the roads are bad, that can deliver every 2 weeks fresh fruits, fresh veggies, eggs, and stuff like that, maybe I'll go back to eating meat. But until then, when I go to Italy, I suppose I can eat some risotto, make some prosciutto or something, or eat a sandwich. But I don't know about that here. Everything is so processed. I don't know what they're grinding up in these meat. First of all, can I be honest with you? The thought of the meat packing plants turned me off. That's the first thing it did. I'm like, I don't want to think about that part of it. Like, seriously. It makes me nauseous just thinking about it. So, and when you look at it, you have to ask yourself, well, how else are they going to feed such large numbers of people? What else can they do to feed large numbers of people? Because the population is growing and growing and growing. People are not stopping to, people are having children and having children and having children. So what is going to happen? I can't tell you. I don't know. It has to get to a point where somehow we do something about it. Somehow we've got to figure this out. Somehow it has to change. We have to start asking questions. I believe we need to start asking, well, where did this come from? Where did this milk come from? There's some farms that make milk and they will show you their processes and say, this is our process for making milk. This is where our cows are. This is how they're kept, stored, blah, blah, blah. But what about the meats? What about the veggies? Are they just spraying the stuff with pesticides because nobody wants to wash the vegetables off? And so by the time you get it, it's supposed to be organically grown, but the pesticides are sprayed onto it for it to get to market. Has anyone noticed when a few years ago, when you bought potatoes, I'm just going to give you a case in point. I should have brought an example with me. A case in point are potatoes. Has anyone noticed how you buy a 5-pound bag of potatoes and they're like some little tiny marbles? They're not even big like this. Has anyone noticed that, or is it just me? You remember once upon a time you'd buy a 5-pound bag of potatoes and you could make potato salad out of that and you'd still have baked potatoes out of it? I haven't seen, the last time I saw a baking potato, I can't tell you how long ago was that, a regular size baking potato. And you're all nodding your heads at me because you're seeing the same thing and you're wondering the same reasons I am asking too. Have you looked at tomatoes? The Roma tomatoes, the little ones that we use for salsa. I use it for salsa and I use it for cooking, right? They're smaller than they've ever been. And the regular tomatoes that you make, I haven't even seen those in a while, the round ones. And when you see them, they're round. Just try leaving it out on your countertop for a while and see what happens. You come back next week, it's still hard, right? There's something going on with the food system. There's something. So lacking access to extreme wealth, where I don't know what they do because I don't know anyone who is extremely wealthy. So I'm not in their circle. Hi. You're on vacation with the grandkids in Virginia. Wow. Nobody invited me. So what's up? You didn't tell me you were going on vacation. So enjoy yourselves, though. Are you going near the beach? Have fun, right? How long is your vacation? Right? So what's up? What's up? What's up with the foods? And you're like, hey, I don't even want to think about that. I just want to eat something. Have you found yourself standing in front of the refrigerator and asking yourself, what am I going to eat today? What is it that I can eat that I can feel safe? 10 days. That sucks. 10 days. Enjoy every bit of your 10 days. It's a well-deserved vacation. You deserve it. Right? What is it that we ought to do? We need to start asking more questions. And it sounds like some of us are going to go back to the farm. Now, I'm not an advocate of going back to the South, because the South, I think, has changed, right? But there are new people moving back down there. So I don't know. For those of you whose ancestors came from the deep South, the Alabamas of the world and so on, I don't know how you're going to cope with that. Like, seriously, I don't know. Right? Can we go back to the days? Seriously, Michelle, ask me that question. What are we going to do about the food supply? What can we do? Because there's so many ads on TV that it started from yesterday. I began to notice every other ad was about cancer. And I'm like, it's been bothering me for a while, man. Okay, so one about diabetes. I could almost repeat the ads. If you start them, I can repeat them. We all can. And you're all laughing at me, right? And then this morning while I was working out, I said, wait a minute. Wait just a minute. Didn't they just run that cancer ad? Why are they running it again? Right? And I began to see that there is something going on with the food supply system. There's too much processed food. So the only thing you can do, really, the only control we have is to minimize how much processed food we take in, which means we have to become guardians of our own health, right? So you recognize that some things are out of your control. We don't know where the meat comes from. Seriously, we don't know. Do you know? No, you don't know where the meat comes from. You don't know what they treat it with. Is it lately I've been asking myself the question, is it even cows that we're eating? I don't know. Knowing what I know about manufacturers and the manufacturing processes and people striving to make money, do you really think I'm going to trust that slab of ribs that I see in the grocery store is actually coming from a cow or a pig? Oh, hell no. I don't know who that is or what that is. Right? Is the meat even coming from here? And if it is coming from here, do I really trust that? I don't know. I kid you not, right? These questions that need answers is how my children would put it. Questions that need answers. So what are we going to do? The only thing you can do is control it. For instance, I have terrible allergies, but I noticed that certain foods contribute to it. So if I eat veggies, the more veggies I eat, as natural as possible that I come to eating, my allergies are controlled. Can you believe that? Seriously. Like if I eat more fish, more veggies, my allergies are controlled better. Seriously. So I don't drink pop. I don't drink sodas because it's filled with high fructose corn syrup, which is the least of the evils, but it's also filled with other stuff that will contribute to cancer. It's like drinking pop is like taking a cigarette. Like literally. So those of you who have to have your Mountain Dew fix and your soda fix in the mornings, something to think about. It is what it is. I'm sorry. I'm not making this up. There's the rules. Right? The other thing that I had to think about was so what about the chicken? Where does the chicken come from? This is what I tell my wife all the time. I don't know where the meat is coming from or what is it. I'm saying, Michelle, right? And the other thing I think about is the chicken. Is that a real chicken? Have you found yourself looking at it like, unless it's a whole chicken, right? And I can see that it looks like it was a chicken at one point in its lifetime. I find myself inspecting it like, is this what this is? So some days I go to the grocery store and I come home and my kids are yelling because when they look in the grocery bags and I'm unpacking the groceries, all they see is veggies. And you're all looking at me like I'm crazy because I'm like, I don't know. Chicken breast does not look like chicken breast anymore. Have you noticed? Chicken used to have a white streaks running through it, chicken breast. No, it doesn't even look like that. It looks like some meat that they cut somewhere and probably pour some acid on it. I don't know. One of the things that got to me is how they pour red stuff on the meat to make it look inviting. You know that, some red dye. That stuff contributes to making your bodies break down. Our bodies break down. So I stopped. Like, I read somewhere that Mark Zuckerberg said years ago that if he doesn't grow it, he's not eating it. I'm at the stage where, boy, if I don't see that cow coming out of the pasture, I'm not eating it because I don't know if that's cows. Right? So what is in the foods that we eat? So what I'm finding is more and more, I'm eating more beans and peas. And yes, they have pesticides on it. So I shake it off, put it in water, and so on. And I am like at the stage where I want to know, what are we all going to do? So if you know anybody who has a co-op in Michigan somewhere, you need to let me know. And we all go say, hey, dude, can you supply us with milk and eggs and the butter? Can you make the butter stuff that, they used to make back in the day? Years ago when I lived in Orlando, my youngest daughter is now 17, right? She was 17 in a few days, right? And when she was just born, a lady came to our house to do the blinds and stuff, right? And she was in her 70s, but I thought she was like in her 40s. She looked that good. And she was getting up on the stools to measure the floor to ceiling windows. And we had like 12-foot ceilings. So the floor to ceiling measurement was, but she had her equipment. But she got on a stool and I said, "Oh my, you will fall." And she said, "No, honey, you don't have to worry." She said, "I grew up in the Midwest. I grew up on a farm and we drank milk and ate eggs. And I am as solid as anything. Don't listen to all that foolishness that you shouldn't drink milk or eat eggs." Well, 17 years ago. That transformed me. That was transformation moment, right? So it made me I started questioning from then, but I kept telling myself that I didn't have any control over my own food supply and my own food chain. So the only control, I'm the end user. So what am I going to do about it? Right? But then I started saying, maybe I should start taking more vitamins. And I'm like, but some days you stand before the refrigerator and you don't know what to eat. And many of us are looking at our bodies and how our bodies have changed. And you look at your children and you're like, but I don't eat a lot. So why do I look so puffy? I don't eat a lot. I don't eat hordes of food. I don't shovel food down my throat. Do you see what I'm saying? I work out. I don't shovel, but what little do I eat? What is in it that's making us all bloated? Half of our body weight is water weight. Do you realize that? Right? It's mostly water weight. Where is that excess water coming from? It's coming from what? The chemicals in the foods that we eat that interact with our bodies. Yes, they're not going to tell you the truth because they don't want you to know. So you have people starving themselves and drinking alcohol and taking insulin to stay thin, because as soon as you eat something, it's like poops, it gets into your body and poops, you just blow up like a balloon. I kid you not. I'm like, I don't eat a lot. And I don't eat a lot of what I eat, what I do eat. So you should see, I eat on small plates. I eat on side plates. I don't even use regular sized dinner plates. Seriously, like my plates are this size. That's the size of my plate. And it's not filled with food. It has just enough in here to make me not feel bad. So you ask yourself, so what's going on? You're working out, you're doing all of this. Why aren't we losing weight? Guys, you stopped drinking beer, so why do you still have a beer belly? So you start telling yourself it's posture, you're not holding stuff in. But it's when you do eat, what you do eat is contributing to it. And then you ask yourself, so you have to sit back and say, then, wait a minute now. So if I eat all of that stuff, that's what is causing the mass obesity. Who is profiting when we're sick? The people who make the drugs, right? See the opioid epidemic? I wish they would do the same things with the foods that we eat, right? The people who make the drugs are the ones who are profiting when we become sick. There's so many people who, and at first this was an American thing, right? This was an American thing where people in America, it was just Americans who were fat. No, it's crept over to Europe now. You go to England and it's like, wait just a minute. Wait. It's in the foods. But you go to China and the people are normal size. What's up with that? Are they eating more organically? Because a lot of the foods we eat, not just here in America and in Europe, is coming from where? China. So I'm not really mad with the president for what he's doing with China, because I'm like, somebody had to mainstream that because we have entrusted too much of what we eat to others. We don't know what's in the food supply. Look, can I just be honest with you? What about the formula that we give to babies? Have you ever tasted that stuff? Is it any wonder babies cry and fuss all the time? Have you ever tasted it? Would you, as a human being, drink that stuff that we're shoving down the throats of babies and telling them this is food? No, you wouldn't. But you tell yourself you can't give them milk. And if you've ever had a baby and they're hungry and you warm up some milk and put it in a bottle and give them, it's the happiest baby ever. Let me just tell you that right now. That's the happiest baby. They smile because tummy's full, right? They're not going to be hungry in the next two hours or the next hour. So they're nice and full. They fall asleep like a babe. I noticed that with my youngest daughter. So I ignored them because she didn't like the formula anyway. So I mixed the formula with milk and gradually phased it out. Just gave her milk. And she would just be as happy as a lark. If you see my youngest daughter today, has the clearest, prettiest skin ever. Beautiful child, right? My little Anna, beautiful skin. Both my children have nice skin, right? So what is in the foods? We don't know. And they're never going to tell us. Is it really coming from Texas? No, they were going to impose tariffs in Mexico, and then we discovered that most of our fruits and veggies come from Mexico. Something we did not really know. So we're asking, so when it's coming over, how do they preserve it so that by the time it gets to me in Michigan, because Mexico is a long way from Michigan. Boom. Right? What's in the foods, right? Some of us have headaches that we can't explain, right? You have issues and you go to the doctor and they can't diagnose you. People are dropping dead from pancreatic cancer. That's a new thing because of the foods that they're eating. So what they do is I shouldn't say this, but when they find out that you're living too long, they have these conferences and they say, start diagnosing people for pancreatic cancer. We have some drugs for that. Just flush the market with those drugs. Somebody I know who is an MD, he left the profession. He now works for an international outfit, said one of the things that contributed to him leaving, he had been a doctor for a long time, and he was in his 60s. He was like, enough of this. He said, I couldn't do it anymore. They were, when we exude air that comes out through our posterior, we call it farting, right? Do you know they were going to make farting a sickness? Yeah, that was treatable with a pill. That's when he said enough. Before my mother died, before my mother got sick, my mother pulled me aside one day and she said, look, I think you need to realize that the next big thing that's coming up, she worked in the hospital system. She said, the next big thing that's coming up is pancreatic cancer. She says, there are a lot of diagnoses for pancreatic cancers that even the people in the medical system were looking at and saying, wait a minute, that doesn't look like it should be pancreatic cancer. That looks like something else. So Anna was like, well, they just want to sell more drugs for pancreatic cancer, Mom. So that's what they're doing. They're creating it and fantasizing it. And maybe I was flippant about it because I felt like it couldn't happen to me because I'm listening to the stories, right? So I'm like, I was too young for the demographic and so on. But then my mother died. And then you're like, well, after your parents died, next up is you. So what are you doing, Harry? You see where I'm coming from? So it's making us sort of like think about our mortality in different ways. Like now I'm looking at it and I'm like, who are my kids going to sue? You see where I'm coming from? Because now we're looking at it like there's something amiss. And we have to become the guardians of our own health. You go to the doctor and the doctor is seeing 26 people in a day. There are 24 hours in a day. She only works like from 8 to 4. So I don't know how she's seeing 26 people in that time. I don't know, but they're doing it, right? The average should be about 12, 10, a good doctor, 10 to 12, right? And they're seeing so many. I kid you not. This is why when you see the feds crack down on people for fraud, don't ask, because they're like, you only work 8 to 10 hours a day. So how are you seeing 24 people, 26 people in one day? It's impossible. How long are you seeing them, right? And then you go to the doctor and they don't know how to talk to you, right? They don't know what to say to you. They don't know how to make it up to you. They don't know what to say. So you have to be the guardian of your own health, and you have to start watching what you eat and start minimizing some of the stuff that you enjoy. Like we're heading into the 4th of July. It's barbecue season. So we go all out with red meat. So watch for the ads, all the beef, all the barbecue sauces, all the hamburger products. They're all going to come out. Now, years ago, I used to like a good hamburger. So there was a particular brand of hamburger meat that I would buy. And then one day I said to myself, do you know what they're grinding up in that stuff? I stopped buying it. I stopped buying it a year and a half ago. I'm like, I don't know what they're grinding grinding up to make that stuff, I'm done. So my barbecue days, grilling days are over. I'm putting veggies out there and fish grown in tropical waters. Right? Pay a little bit more for it, but you're like, darn. And I'm not being alarming if you think it's being alarming. I am creating awareness so that you know, so that you go and ask questions, so you become more aware. So you start thinking, what is it that I'm not doing that I should do? Right? Is there another way to live? Is there another way to do it? I don't know. This is the one life we have. I want to live for as long as I can, healthily. Not just live, but healthily. Right? So I want to do that with some consciousness, not laid out somewhere where they have wire tubes pushing in and flushing you with drugs. So, which brings me to the point I want to talk about, which is, do you flush your systems? Do you flush your systems? Do we do that? Do you take laxatives? You have to flush it out. You have to irrigate yourselves. Do you do that? We have to, right? Flushing your systems involves drinking water so you peed out. So your kidney, don't worry about you. You can pee forever. Your kidneys are just working normally. They're fine, right? Do you go to the toilet frequently? And most of you guys are like, and especially men. You guys don't even pay attention to yourselves because you don't even want to go to the doctor. You don't want to hear us tell you to do stuff, right? Eat broccoli. Drink water. Not just occasionally. Make it a thing. Yeah. Like seriously. I am serious, right? Drink water. Don't smoke. We don't know what's in this. If we don't know what's in the foods, do you really think it's tobacco that is in the cigarettes? Think about it. What is crack? Crack is not cocaine. Crack is a derivative of cocaine, isn't it? Right. They mix stuff to make crack. Like meth. What is meth? They mix stuff to make meth. Can't be good for us, right? And you're looking at me like, and it's like, Harriet, are you nuts? No, we all are, because we didn't think about it. We never thought about it. We didn't think about it. We let them do the thinking for us. And they know that because we don't want to think. We don't want to have the time. You're like, Harriet, I'm too tired to think. I have to go to work. I have to figure this out. I have this to do, that to do. So we don't think. And then what happens? We pay the price. Yes, we are. We're paying the price. We are paying the price. So here's what I'd like us all to do. Start, when you go to the grocery store, make sure that you're spending more time in front of the produce section than in the processed food section. Right? So spend more time buying the produce. And when you go home, wash that bad boy off. Don't just open the fridge, take the lettuce out and start making salads. Put that thing in some water and see what comes out of it. Right? Wash your fruits and veggies. Fill the sink up nice and sudsy. Wash it off. Rinse it off. Put it on some paper towels. Let them dry out. All the fruits except bananas. Right? And start looking at what you're eating. And you're going to see some things that you never thought of before. You know, one of the things that's going to become apparent? Guess. Do you know that when you go to fast food, McDonald's, Wendy's, and so on, when you go to buy fast food, do you realize that it costs more to buy a salad than it costs to buy a hamburger? And you wonder why obesity, high blood pressure, and diabetes is a problem. So let's say somebody who has not enough money, they're going to go down to McDonald's to buy something for their kids to eat. So they're going to buy what? They're going to buy more of hamburgers, cheeseburgers. Because a salad is $7. But goodness, $7 can buy 5 hamburgers. Do you see where I'm coming from? So when next you go to the grocery store, spend more time in front of the produce section. Look at the colors. The brighter the colors, the better it is for you. Yeah, we're going to get a little minerals out of it. Supplement the minerals by taking vitamins and so on. Right? I want to hope that I look like how I eat. I don't know. I really don't know. I don't think most days lately it hasn't been. Right? But we have to ask ourselves that question. Right? We have to. That's the only thing you can do is to minimize it. Get up in the mornings and work out. Please lift, buy some Five Below. You've heard of Five Below? Five Below sells weights, y'all, for $5. You can go and build the bar thing with the weights on it yourselves, right? So lift weights, create muscle, right? Do on the spot jogging, right? If you live on the first floor of an apartment, do on the spot jogging. No, the weather is good. Get outside and walk around. When the weather is bad, go to the mall and walk around, right? I don't know why they don't make malls fitness centers. That's what they should do. Just make them giant fitness centers so we all can just go and walk around, right? Right? And it's the little things, and flush our systems. Drink water. When we were kids and growing up, every summer, Michelle and you all, do you all remember this? Do you remember when we were kids? Seriously, my audience on Twitter and Periscope are a little younger than those of us on Facebook, okay? When we were younger, you guys, they used to give us what they call a cleansing every summer. Seriously. We'd go visit your grandparents and they'd give you some herbs to drink that would purge you and claim that they were deworming you. And stuff used to come out because, we're kids, so we ate a lot of sweets and candy and stuff like that, and stuff used to come out. So a few years ago, my mom said to me, when was the last time you did a cleanse? Immediately, I had flashbacks to my childhood. I was so terrified. I backed up from her. She was like, I'm just saying that to see if you do what you do. And I kid you not. I kid you not. So me now, with my progressive self, when my children were younger, decided that I was going to do it. Oh, whoa. They were like, Mom, don't do it again. But seriously, it's something to think about. It's something to think about, right? We need to cleanse. At least purge yourselves twice a year. Where you can also purge. Here's another way to do that. You can also enter on what I call a soft fast. You know what a soft fast is? Where you don't eat for 18 hours. So like once a week, you don't eat for 18 hours because we tend to eat frequently without realizing it. Like we eat every 4 hours. There's always something going in our mouths, right? So go 18 hours between meals. I used to do that on a Saturday night. I wouldn't eat from 8 o'clock and I wouldn't eat again until 11 o'clock. And then over time, I started doing that every day. It's called a soft fast. What it does is it speeds up your metabolism and it makes you purge faster. So when you do eat something, it just flies through you, right? Because we don't have as much control as we would like to have, or we would like to think we have. We really don't. What we have is no control. What we can do is minimize the processed food that we take in, right? So get rid of the pop. Yeah, I know it's not popular, but high fructose corn syrup and other derivatives that are in it, not adding up. What happens is over time, it adds up. Your body doesn't break down right away, but think of a lifetime of stress and a lifetime of bad eating. And with the stuff nowadays, who knows what's in what? Who knows what makes the food, right? Who knows what's in the chicken? Have you looked at ribs lately when you go to buy a slab of ribs? You look at it and you're like, man, there's no meat on these bones. Where are they getting this pig from or this cow from? Why is it so skinny? And then you look at the T-bone over there or the ribeye and it's a little juice. And you're like, what gives it? Did it come from the same cow? Right? The eggs are smaller than they've ever been. When I was growing up, large eggs were large eggs, right? The bacon tastes different. It has more of a metallic taste to it. Eating bacon nowadays gives me a headache because it has a funny taste to it. It didn't taste like that when I was growing up. Didn't even taste like that 15 years ago, 20 years ago, which is when things started to go really south, right? So I want us all to be guardians of our health. Be proactive. Ask the difficult questions and make yourself accountable. What are you doing? Don't eat after 8 o'clock at night. It's now summer, so the light is out longer. So you might be up until 11. But during winter, don't eat after 7. And you say, well, Harriet, that's when I get home from work. Well, eat before you get home. Or eat your heaviest meal during the day when you have more time to work it off. I try to do that more. So I eat my heaviest meal between 12 and 1 o'clock, lunchtime. And then as the day wears on, I eat less. So by the time it gets to 7, 8 o'clock, I'm consuming fluids. Drink tea. Yeah, drink tea. If you're coming off cigarettes, like some of us have addictions to cigarettes and smoking. Some people say they smoke weed. It's an appetite suppressant. What's in the weed? You really think that that's pure marijuana? There's an additive in it, just like cigarettes. Think about it. If it's being mass produced, it probably is not the pure form. Right? So since we're not the creators and the manufacturers, we are the consumers, so we're the end user. We probably don't know and are not privy to the processes involved in making the foods we eat. Perhaps we should then make sure that we at least minimize it. So flush your systems, drink water throughout the day. Drink water. It will make your kidneys work, and it will you'll go to the bathroom frequently. Right? Still eat your veggies, because what it does, believe it or not, eating your veggies will make you go to the bathroom. Eat fish. I'm not talking about tilapia. I don't know what that is. Tilapia is not real fish. It's something they put in a pond, and the water in the pond inflates it, and it comes out. If it doesn't have a head on it at some point, then why is it a fish? Fishes in the ocean have heads on them. So I'm not eating any fish without no head on it. If it didn't come from a fish in the ocean, I'm not going to do that. I'm done. Like, seriously. And if when you look at it, I know from now on, when you go to the grocery store and you stand before the meat section, I know you will have hella questions. You have hella questions to ask. You have tons of questions to ask. And ask yourself, what is this? Is this even what I think it is trying to say that it is? And it probably isn't. And if it isn't, well, go find an alternative. You're going to sound like a lot of us. Have you ever wondered why a lot of people who travel and who go away, right? They go to other parts of the world and they come back and they change their diets immediately. While they were away, they ate some foods and were exposed to different foods, made their systems work better. They came back and they're like, no, I'm not going to eat that stuff anymore. And the final thing I want to talk about is, how do we eat? How do we eat? Do you eat it all? We Westerners put everything on one plate because we like how it looks, right? But a better way to eat would be what? Perhaps to eat your veggies with your protein, because the protein is so hard. Whether your protein is beef, pork, or chicken, right? And veggies, right? So eat your protein with your veggies, or eat your carbohydrates with your veggies. That's probably a better way to eat, right? And when you do that, what happens is that you will minimize some of the stuff. Just something to think about, isn't it? Food for thought. Food for thought. So HarrietKamick.com, as usual, fill me up with your questions. I want to answer them. What do I eat? I eat a lot more veggies and carbohydrates than I eat protein. For protein, I do eggs and beans and peas. So I make a lot of stews, and I eat a lot of red beans, and I eat black beans, right? And I eat green beans, the lima beans. I eat a lot of that. I find that they're very potent with protein. So I eat a lot of that for my protein. And I eat fish, eat a lot more fish. I can't digest the red bean stuff anymore. I just can't. It makes me, it won't go any further. It's almost as if it's stuck and it won't go any further. And it's not a mind thing. I want to eat it, but it's not going, it's not being processed, right? Because I don't have trust in the integrity of where it's, what it is, of what it is, right? So go to harrietkemmick.com as well as the exodusfoundation.com. And if you know, I'm an author and a speaker. My books are available on amazon.com and barnesandnoble.com. Anywhere you are in the world, one click, I posted the link. It's on my Facebook page. You can make one click and you can buy any of my books and have them shipped to you at any time. I want to thank you so much for listening to me this morning. It was my own come to Jesus moment, kind of, where I was questioning myself. What are you eating? Like looking at the foods and say, what are you eating? Are you doing the best that you can for what you have, where you are? I'm not telling you to go out and start a farm, start a co-op, or do this or boycott anything. I'm just saying right where you are, you can start right there. Make sure you at least do some moving exercises that involve some muscle movement, right? Create your own, let your body activate the processes, the natural processes in your body, so that it can eliminate some of the stuff we eat. Drink water to purge and purge and purge. Drink less of the sugary drinks that we drink. A lot of us buy sugary drinks from the store. Perhaps spend a little time reading the labels. It will guide you as to what is involved in it. And is that something that you think it's good for you, right? As for me, the only sugary drink I drink is lemonade. I just straight up lemonade, lemon juice, sugar, and water. That's it. And I don't even drink it full on. I half and half with water and that's it. And I know you're all looking at me like, what? So you don't do apple juice or orange juice? I stopped drinking orange juice because they put turmeric in orange juice and it gave me a headache. Orange juice kept giving me a headache. I had to read it when it says FDNC yellow and turmeric. I'm like, what is that? Gave me a headache. I had to stop drinking orange juice. So if I want orange juice, I buy oranges and squeeze it. There's my orange juice. Sorry, but that's how it works. So thank you so much for joining us. I got to go. It's time to go. We're looking at the clock and it is time to go. Yep, they're getting us on out of here. All right, so thanks everybody. It's 11 o'clock. It's Tuesday. Go out and make it terrific. It's summer. Finally, enjoy. And I'll see you tomorrow. Bye, everybody. Be blessed. Goodbye, Michelle. Enjoy your vacation, right? In Virginia, huh? Didn't invite me to that one, did you? All righty. Thanks so much, everybody. Be blessed. Gracefully broken. Fill me up. Mm-hmm.